Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the In-Depth series. My name is Pooja Devedi. Now, G20 summit after the finance track is set for the foreign ministers meet. Now, this particular meeting is going to be excessively important from the perspective of India, because according to the West, India's voice is influential in the current times. Of course, India has acquired the presidency of the G20 for this year on December 1st, 2022. Since then, India has tried to make a mark and it has survived the test of times when it comes to the war, inflation, rising food prices, food insecurity. Now, who is coming? First of all, let us get that. But before that, I'm so sorry. We have to discuss these many topics from the perspective of your examination. Now, moving on. This year, we are going to see a pot. This pot is going to be rather volatile, because Russian Foreign Minister is coming, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, China's King Gang. Now, of course, US is at loggerheads with both Russia and with China. There is also a new front of war that is opening between China and the US. British Foreign Minister James Cleverly is coming. Now, the drama is set to happen. Why? Because Lavrov had in July stormed out of a G20 Foreign Ministers meet in Bali after the West condemned the Ukraine war. Ukraine war is of course going to dominate the agenda, but India is trying to maneuver its path, not give Ukraine a very dominant position in the current ministry meeting, foreign ministry meeting. Representatives of all 40 countries, including non-G20 members, have also been invited by India, and multilateral organizations will also be in attendance. Now, this comes at a time when we are seeing certain issues with respect to not only the war, but a lack of support, lack of funding, we can say, when it comes to climate change. Okay, first that. There is another challenge, that is China-US war. China and US are not in a very comfortable position with respect to Taiwan. And we are going to discuss that also in brief. The third problem is the food insecurity and rising inflation because of the ongoing war, which is not seemingly going to end anytime soon. Another problem is India's aspiration to be voice of the global south. Another important issue that is going to, of course, be very valuable to be discussed is reforms in multilateral institutions. The old world order has changed. The map has changed. But have the multilateral institutions changed? I do not think so. They are still working or walking ahead in the similar manner as if they were in 1940. They are still in 1945. So this is the problem. These are the many points which India will definitely keep in mind. The challenges other than this is, of course, US, UK, Germany, Canada. These all are in one particular lot. Another lot is China and Russia, the big powers. And India has to walk a very tightrope between these two. The problem occurs when these countries, they accuse India of still supporting the war, not explicitly, but by saying, if you're going to purchase energy from Russia, then of course you are supporting the war, because you are giving them finances, giving them profit to buy more weapons to bombard Ukraine. Another problem is between India and China. Of course, with the territorial disputes, the dispute with respect to putting certain names in the terrorist list of UNSC. Then another problem is China not supporting India for a permanent seat in the UNSC. Another problem is between US-China with the tensions with respect to Taiwan. Then these many countries being in one lot and condemning Russia, but India not condemning Russia as in explicitly. So this is the entire issue that is going to dominate the foreign ministers meeting. Now let's see. G20 foreign ministers are all set to meet in New Delhi 1 to 2nd of March, and India has assumed the presidency of G20 on December 1st. Food and energy prices are going to dominate the issue, specifically for South Asia, Southeast Asia and Africa. The food insecurity is looming large. Energy prices are a horror for Sri Lanka, Pakistan, many Middle Eastern countries, not Middle Eastern, many South Asian countries, Southeast Asian countries, Africa. There is also increasing debt in the global South. The problem, another, is soft economic recovery post-lockdown because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and after the Russia-Ukraine war, many countries are under huge debt. Specifically, they have been victimized by China, giving them so much loan at such exorbitant rates. Now the recovery is really not very happening. New Delhi wants to steer the focus of this week's meeting to issues like climate change and debt of developing countries. India doesn't want Ukraine to dominate the event, but of course it will loom large. Intention is there to continue playing the voice of the global South and raising issues pertinent to the region. Now, Europe is not something that we're concerned with largely. We are concerned with our growth, the growth of our nation and the other neighboring countries. So, the United States, India, Australia and Japan, which are a group, Quad, this meeting of this is also going to happen. That is, of course, not going to sit very well with China and Russia. Now, there are also new tensions, new fronts opening, tensions between Washington and Beijing. How will it play out? That is also important. China has accused United States of endangering peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. After a US P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol and reconnaissance military plane flew through the waterway. Chinese spy balloon also drifted in United States, which was shot down. But what did China say? It was a civilian balloon, nothing such as a spy balloon. But of course, who knows? New Delhi has sought to walk a delicate neutral line. Voice of India is very important. I am going to reiterate my statement by two very important statements given by the Prime Minister of India and Dr. S. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister of India, respectively. Prime Minister Modi explicitly told, and Vladimir Putin was sitting right there with him. He told that he has already talked with his friend Putin that this is not an era of war. Another very important statement is by Dr. S. Jaishankar is that Europe has to grow out of this mindset that Europe's problems are world's problems, which is not correct. This mindset, Europe has to grow out of this. And this has been said time and again by not only these two important icons, but other world leaders as well. So that is why India's voice is very influential. India has refused to blame Moscow for the conflict. It has all the time said that we want everything peaceful and diplomatically solved, but never blamed Moscow. Seeking a diplomatic solution and sharply boosting its purchase of Russian oil, this is the problem. Many countries are not in favor of that. European Union has said that it trusts India's presidency, and India has tried to make the proceedings productive. India's voice in the conflict is very important because India is not belonging to any sort of bloc. Russia, China is in one bloc right now, other countries of the West are in another. India is neutral, and that is why we need a neutral friend. Europe has been solidly backing Ukraine, which Europe believes that, of course, Russia is the perpetrator here. And that is why India's voice is very important. Now, the G7 price cap that came into effect in December stops countries from paying more than $60 a barrel to Russia for oil procurement, so that Russia doesn't profit and hence it cannot fund the war forward. The grain agreement, because of the blocking of important supply chains, the grain agreement was signed following months of negotiations to primarily facilitate the export of around 20 million tons of wheat, maize and other grains from Ukraine. India also stepped forward in supplying such grains. India's G20 presidency has presented a very ambitious program. Climate change is one of our issues, digital transition, and ways to achieve the sustainable development goals as major areas of deliberation. So, I hope this was understood. What can we expect from India during this meet and what will be the issues dominating the landscape. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching.